backward toward the floor, reached out and grabbed the man's jacket, and spun him back to the ground. The big man crashed to the ground, but he rolled up to his knees quickly, then turned and charged Ryan again. This time Jack leapt to his feet, sidestepped the attack, and slammed the palm of his right hand into the driver's head as he stumbled past him. The URC terrorist fell to the floor, dazed by the blow to his skull. Jack had the advantage now, and he leapt on the man, grabbed him by the hair, and slammed his head viciously into the marble-tiled floor. Once, twice, and then a third time, when there was no resistance from the neck muscles of the terrorist, and the skull crashed downward, echoing in the empty lot.
Are you serious?
Ryan hesitated for just a moment, tried to catch his breath, then he gave up. Still on the verge of hyperventilation, he climbed off the dead terrorist and grabbed his pistol from the floor. He holstered it and reached up to check for his earpiece. Miraculously, it was still in place in his ear. "This is Ryan. Tango down." "Copy that. You okay?" It was Clark. Ryan nodded to himself, held his breath for a second to catch his wind, and then said, "I'm bringing the van around. 2 minutes." Ryan crossed the wide floor, heading for the exit, but he was met by uniformed prefect police who poured through the doors with pistols in their hands. Jack stepped to the side, held his hands up, and then, feigning panic, he crouched like a terrified tourist. Outside in the street by the black Mercedes truck, he saw several police cars. The vehicles were empty. Their occupants had just passed him on their way to the stairs. After the police ran past him through the lobby, Ryan hurried out the door and spoke into his headset. "Guys, listen up. 8 cops heading up the main stairwell. You're going to have to find another exit." "Okay," it was Clark's voice now. "I'm with Gang and Dom. We'll come up with something. Be ready to pick us up." 16. 90 seconds later, Domingo Chavez fired bursts from his Heckler & Koch MP7 through the hinges of a locked metal door to the roof of the hotel. The 3 men stepped out into a bright sky, as all around them the sounds of sirens echoed off the buildings. They found themselves on a flat roof here, but in order to move away from the entrance to the hotel, they were forced to head to the northwest, crossing 2 large early modern-style apartment buildings. Here the roofs of the adjacent buildings were steep, with glazed brick masonry. The roofs were all of different heights and gradients, with only a few narrow walkways. The next building over was a full story taller than the one they were on, so they were forced to climb up narrow masonry steps to begin their escape from the police. And the police were close behind. Chavez led the way, and he directed Dom and John to pull on their black ski masks. There was no sense now in even maintaining the semi-covert facial distortion masks, so they might as well attempt to hide even the color of their skin. As they ran, climbed, and skittered 5 and 6 floors above the streets of Paris, they heard shouting on the roof behind them at the Hotel Dessert. From the tone of the yelling, they knew they'd been spotted. Clark called back over his shoulder to Caruso. "Thaw smoke to cover us." Dom reached into the messenger bag on his back, pulled a smoke grenade, and yanked the pin from it. Bright red smoke spewed from one end, and Dom laid it down next to the vertical glass side of the sawtooth roof. He ran on. The smoke cloud flattened to the breeze on the roof, and it obstructed the Americans' retreat. After sliding on their backsides down the steep side of a mansard roof that ended at a partition to the next building, they climbed over the low wall and found themselves looking down 5 stories into a beautiful garden courtyard surrounded by a stony Art Nouveau building full of luxury office space. Faces in the windows of the offices stared at the armed men in ski masks. Some turned quickly